Welcome everyone to the GovHack International Digital Connections event this evening. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be learning about GovHack, what's going on and what's happening next weekend. So, um, my name is Jason Weagle. I am one of the directors of GovHack Australia, and I'm the operations lead, leading what's going on with the competition this year. I've been a part of GovHack for about 10 years, ranging from a participant all the way through to looking after the operations around here. So I'm going to hand over to Harshita to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Jason. Hi, everyone. For those who are watching, I'm Harshita Rajshekara. I'm the current chair of GovHack. Outside of GovHack, I'm an electrical and electronics engineer and also an MBA graduate. I do work for South Australian government. Thank you so much. Back to you, Jason.
Okay, we'll go over to Matt, and then after that, Brad.
Hello, Matthew Watt, GovHack Director as well. Currently working as Tasmania lead as well, helping out with the Tasmania team down in Hobart this year. Been involved with GovHack, first went along to an event about 10 years ago as well, and been volunteering with the organisation for the last 4 years. And Brad?
I'm Brad Kirkland, GovHack leader and director for New Zealand. So I've been involved with GovHack as a competitor primarily. My background in tech comes from sales end, so bringing in those deals and keeping everyone fed. I'll pass over to you.
Okay, awesome. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, of the various lands on where we're all watching from. And for me, where I am, that is the Yagara and Turrbal people. I pay my respects to elders past and present, and celebrate the diversity of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands in the water. I also pay my respects and acknowledge the Maori people of New Zealand. I would like to also say a thank you to our sponsors. We have Emphasis as our lead international sponsor. We have the ATO, IP Australia, National Freight Data Hub, Department of Employment and Work Relations, Quantum, and Matt Watt as national sponsors. And for our national partners, we have the Australian Computing Society. Brad, can you tell us about the New Zealand sponsors?
Yep, yeah, so totally. So we've got Trimble on board, who are specialists in the GIS tech area, Yeti Tech, which is involved in the software agency space, bringing forward a challenge in that area. The Backhouse, which is involved as an incubator program. So the idea behind the Backhouse involvement is to offer an opportunity for people coming in to channel through to further pathways and help to commercialize those ideas that come forward together with the challenge holders. And we've also got Auckland University as both a venue sponsor and a supporter of the event. The involvement with these key sponsors was chosen due to Trimble having previous involvement with GovHack and quite a long-standing large opportunity to work together, along with not just focusing on a one-off opportunity, but how GovHack New Zealand can work together with key sponsors to have an ongoing relationship with participants that come through and offer long-standing growth for year-on-year opportunities.
Okay. Going on to our Australian sponsors, over to you, Matt.
Yeah, so for ACT, the sponsors this year are Link Digital, ACT Government, Agile Digital, and Amazon Web Services. And then in New South Wales, our sponsors and partners are, we've got 3 government departments, New South Wales government departments, the Department of Customer Service, we have Department of Education and Department of Heritage. Denton Code Academy, and then we have the Mukura Hotels at Liverpool Catholic Club and Fishburners and OMG Entertainment Group. Our Northern Territory sponsors and partners are the Darwin Innovation Hub, LinkedIn Local, CDU, which is Charles Darwin University, the Students Association, and True Blue IT Services. The Queensland sponsors and partners are Brisbane City Council, City of Moreton Bay, Unity Water, Sunshine Coast Council, Uni SC, and the University of Queensland.
And then we have over to South Australia with Harshita.
Thanks, Jason. South Australian sponsors and partners are Inspiring South Australia and South Australia Tourism Commission. Next is South Australia Power Networks. We often call them SAPIEN, and also Algorithm Technologies. They expertise in business transformation, project management, and IT services. Last but not the least, Torrens University, who always been so supportive from past couple of years for us providing space, the venue for all the GovHack South Australia events as well. From the Tasmania sponsors and partners are City of Hobart and University of Tasmania. Sponsors from Victoria are Victoria State Government itself, Public Record Office Victoria, Deakin University, and Infosys. I think Infosys is also our national sponsor. Sponsors from Western Australia are Disability Assembly, Partners and Prosper. We do work with them very closely as well with Partners and Prosper, City of Albany, PASE, and Microsoft.
Okay, thank you very much to all our sponsors that make GovHack possible. They make it possible for people to come along for free to all of our events. So, what is GovHack? Matt, we have the word hack. What are we breaking into stuff?
No. And what I like to do is that you make sure you don't get mixed up. You don't want to type in hack the government into Google and be looking for us. We are GovHack. It's not about hacking into systems, unauthorized access. We're not here to break things and break systems. What we're here to do is hack things together in a creative way. So to use that data that's available and open. I always love these definitions that you've got for up on the screen here for what the hack is. And if we go straight to the Urban Dictionary one, the clever, virtuous, and wizardry manner, creating something. So that's also about the creation.
So as GovHack, as an organisation across Australia and New Zealand, we are not-for-profits with a mission to use open government data to make communities a better place. We believe in being inclusive to as many people, free. We want to make sure we think of our hackers first in all our operations. We want to reach out into the region, so not just in the capital cities, but spread further out. We're 99% volunteer-driven, transparent with our information. We believe in open access and fair data. GovHack is about a festival of ideas. It's taking place on the 18th to the 20th of August across Australia and New Zealand, where teams come to mash up and create visualizations of new and engaging ways to use government data. So, as I said, next Friday, starting at 7 p.m. is when the competition launches, but venues will start opening from about 5:30, 6 o'clock local time. So all these times that we have are around our local time. So Brad over in New Zealand, they'll be starting 2 hours before me, where I'm in Queensland, but everything is, they'll still get that fixed amount of time. So everyone gets the same share of time. So, Matt, we have a lot of places on this map. Do you want to guide us through some of these?
Yeah, and it's back to one of our key values is around being regional. We have a strong focus on ensuring that these regional events can happen. It's just as important getting these ideas in the community. So being able to contribute and give that feedback into government services and how we could use those data to create great things. So we have a lot of these regular nodes like Albany in Western Australia that has for many years had events happening there. And throughout Australia, we can see we've got a lot of different ones, not beyond just the capital cities. I believe we're at 19 cities this year that the GovHack will be happening in. And as you can see on the map there, that there's huge coverage. that across the various years, previous years where we've had these events. And we have a lot of people participating virtually as well. So we have people dialing in from all over, joining into these teams, and particularly over the last couple of years, we've been able to have these virtual teams and now hybrid teams where we've got people participating, perhaps half the team members in a capital city, a couple in another capital city, and the rest of the team remote throughout Australia and New Zealand.
Brad, the maps is showing quite a few places in New Zealand as well. Do you want to guide us through where some of the places we've been in the past over there?
Yep, cool. Yeah, so the GovHack's been quite widespread across New Zealand, being a very small compared to the size of Australia, so quite congested there. So GovHack's been run out of Christchurch, Wellington, Wanganui, Napier, Hamilton, and Auckland. For this year's event, we'll be running out of Auckland, Wellington, Wanganui, and Christchurch as 3 key local events, which will be packed with mentors and support there.
Awesome. And I have a map showing those exact locations coming up shortly. So there's a lot of benefits that we can get out of participating in GovHack. And then what we see the value for participants as well as communities. Hashida, can you guide us through some of these?
Sure, Jason. For me, when I took part as a student, I didn't had any much expectation of GovHack, what are the benefits I get. I said that the hack word was very famous at that time, back in those days, which means that we were taught that we were not able to solve a problem in a methodological way. You can go ahead, unpack the problem however you want. So that's how I participated. But what I personally got out and made me stay along still today with GovHack are the unexpected benefits. The first one is the networking opportunity, meeting different talented, highly skilled people. And some of the friendship that I've made is still strong today and going strong. And increasing the awareness of the public data sets. I think it got me an awareness of like what data can be shared, what data is personal, what should not be shared, what is the data that should be kept for ourselves. So I think we get a common understanding of knowledge about the data as well. Of course, within this entire short period of this weekend, we are building a product itself that can be scaled in the later stage. That helps us to build an entrepreneurial skills as well. Last but not the least, I feel like it's a place where you might be a student looking for the growth career opportunities, or you're an employee or looking for employers, or if you're an employer of an organization looking for other better opportunities, I think GovHack is the place to be. Thank you, Jason.
All right. So we've had a lot of participants across the years. Our youngest participant in 1 year was 4 years old, and at the other end of the spectrum was a gentleman in their 80s. So this happened here in Queensland. I got to actually go and visit and meet these people 1 year when I was the Queensland lead. We had in Logan, there was a little boy about 4 years old. He was competing with his big brother that was in high school, and they were both actively designing and coding to create a crash map visualization of Queensland. And then on the other hand, the gentleman in the 80s in Ipswich, I was working with a IT person. He mostly had the ideas, and the younger person was the dev, and they put together looking at insolvency. So the vast range of ages is something that we can test to what we see. Where we've had about 1,000, 2,000 participants pre-COVID. Because of COVID, we saw a little bit of drop, but we're looking to get back to that now that we're back in physical locations. We've had a wide range of people that participate. They can be students in all different levels of education. So primary, secondary, tertiary education. We have public servants. We have people in industry, and people that just want to have a passion about community, policy, and governance all get involved. 1 year we had someone that was a psychologist involved. They saw it and they went, "Hey, this is interesting. I want to get involved." Matt, your children have competed. What was their experience?
Yeah, and I'll just touch on one point as well. The youngest was 4 years old when they competed, so there's a couple of 4-year-olds that have competed. So yeah, when the youngest was 4, the eldest were 12, I believe, at the time. They all got together and worked on a project using clay model to build a playground, a park, somewhere kids can go and play. And what the playground was a learning experience. The kids would go there and had I suppose, model replicas of the lakes that were around their city. So if you imagine somewhere at Sydney, we've got the Warragamba Dam and had a lake at the same shape, molded out in this playground with the kids. So it was a water or a play park where they could play with it. But it wasn't just that, it was connected to the data. So the data set would actually determine the level of the lake. So the kids could see firsthand how dry the lake was or how full the lake was. And there were switches, etc., controlling it. And the kids really learned a lesson about how this data works. And they got in there and they went into the data sets and they were looking through how that explore. And I think that really talks to the learning and the diverse group of people that could be contributing and being involved with GovHack. It is for everyone. It's inclusive. GovHack is for everyone of any age, any background. And it's not just about the skills. I think everyone's quick to go to the tech and say it's about building an app and the coding, etc. The tech is moving away from that. Everything's going low code now. So even if you're building apps, you don't need to know how to code. But it's not just the code. It's some of those creative, using the data in a creative way, whether it be white papers and music, etc. And I think beyond the skills, it's also about, as you mentioned, those experiences, bringing people from different backgrounds that have different experiences and contributing to these projects. And that community involvement of having, surveying the public, but even better, have them working on your project and giving you input about how they've been working with government services, what their feedback is, what their experience is, and building that into these projects. So yeah, I love telling the story about the kids involved. I love that there's kids coming along every year from different age groups, from high school, various university participants, and then people from all ages involved every year.
Awesome. So one thing that we're introducing new to GovHack this year, so if you've been a previous participant, there's a slight change, is on the Sunday evening, we're getting you to submit your entries at 4 p.m. so that we can have some on-site judging for people to go around and have a look at your peers' projects. And we'll have people that are your peers, as well as volunteers and any sponsors that are still on site, mentors, to come around and have a review of your projects on site, and they can give you some verbal feedback on the day for this. So, and this will contribute to your People's Choice judging, as well as to your overall marking that is done by the official judges in the weeks after that takes place. So, a little bit more about the competition that is taking place. So, Hashida, can you guide us around where the venues are this year?
Sure, Jason. At the moment, I'm in South Australia, so definitely in Adelaide, we are running. And moving to the other side, it's basically Perth, Albany, and Darwin. Moving along, Sunshine Coast in the Brisbane area, and also, of course, in New South Wales, Sydney, Liverpool. I do remember going to, when I was participating in Sydney, going to the Liverpool location as well. I thought it's going to be a very small participants in Liverpool, but it gave me a surprise. They were filled with the whole room filled with hackers. That was a very surprising bit. And of course, in Melbourne and Hobart, and I believe that Brad has covered the New Zealand section. Basically, what I meant to say is GovHack is everywhere throughout the Australia, covering all the states and also to the New Zealand as well. Jason, I want to ask a question here.
Yeah.
So I got a close friend of mine with whom I studied engineering, and she wants to take part in the hackathon, but she lives in US. So what are the ways that she can take part, but she's not physically in Australia, but she's very passionate about taking part?
If this person was wanting to participate, they would need to be joining a local team. So they can't participate by themselves as a person not from Australia or New Zealand. They need to have someone that is physically present and who makes up the majority of the team. So they can join in, but they are locked into whatever time zone the team is in. So they would need to be submitting the thing at like 3 o'clock in the morning or something their time. So it's but the competition is primarily focused at Australian and New Zealand residents for this.
Perfect. For example, I'm pretty sure that if she's that much passionate, she's going to be up at 3 a.m. and give out her weekend for us, for sure. I'm just also curious to know, for example, if in US, 5 people get together, can they participate as the team or no, they have to be part of a local team here? Okay, cool.
They need to be a part of a local team. For this, we're encouraging this around promoting Australian open government data, New Zealand open government data, and the skills and talent of Australian and New Zealanders for people that reside here. You don't need to be a citizen, you just need to be a resident at the time.
Perfect, which summarizes the slides, which means you can be anywhere and still take part in GovHack, not restrained. You need to be within Australia or New Zealand. That's a summary. Thanks, Jason.
So we have a number of themes that we're doing. So this year we're looking around environment, social and governance as the core top level themes. And then we've got about 40 different challenges that are falling under these themes. They could be around climate change, renewable energy, diversity inclusion, data governance. It's all around these. So the challenges will be released next Friday. But if you're wanting to get started, these are the areas that you want to be thinking and looking into. All our challenges are designed around the idea of human-centered design. And it's about the exploration of idea and collaboration. We want to spark ideas and get people to improve on their skills. One of the things that we want to strongly encourage this year is people to be developing proof of concepts. It's not just a idea, a video, a slideshow. We want you to see you utilizing the data to design, build, and create. So we want to see it doesn't necessarily need to be code, but it needs to have some output besides just a slide or a video. Matt, is there any other things that you would add to that?
Look, I think with the project and the submission, it's about showing what could be. So when you're demonstrating in here, it needs to be beyond just your idea. You need to be able to demonstrate what could be. So having something working with your design, the video is great. That's a good way of demonstrating it. But it is definitely about showing what could be. So if you put yourself in the shoes of, say, a government agency, the data custodian that owns this data, helping to understand how they could improve their services and what it is you expect. So you really do need to be telling a story. So in everything you write, the description and going through the process. So working with a range of people in your team, not just a bunch of coders, having people with different skill sets contributing into it, and ensure that you're going through that whole process from the ideation, etc. as well. You're understanding what the problem is, going through that problem statement, and you're working up to build a solution that you know what problem you're trying to solve, and you can present that back as a story.
Yeah. So we aren't looking for you to fully develop anything. 46 hours is not enough to develop a fully functioning product, but we want you to at least show how some of the key parts of it will work. So, mentors. Brad, you mentioned earlier things about mentors. Can you run us through what type of mentors we would be expecting to see?
Yep, absolutely. So as far as mentors go, we're having a diverse range of people who might not have to be the most senior in their role, but what we're looking for is people who can support the challenge contestants who to be able to deliver more value in their projects that they're building. So part of what we'd expect to see and what we have from our mentors is providing that level of guidance and support for challenges. So what can be quite beneficial to see is sometimes being able to provide that outside the box thinking coming from industry experience, or being able to support a team by coming from the outside looking in. You're able to see possible ways of looking at the data without in ways where there's further opportunity to actually deliver more value in achieving the challenge outcomes beyond just what's specifically within the scope of the challenge itself. So in the past with GovHack, mentors have played a critical role in helping support challenge and contestants to create the best results for their projects. So not just looking at business analysts, but also you can be a developer. You can also come from technical mind or technical sales, or even mentors that come from some of the challenge submitters and from sponsors.
Yeah. So the majority of our mentors will be coming from our challenge providers, but we do get a vast range of people that are wanting to share the skills. A lot of them are past participants going, I got some great mentorship and I want to share back to that. So we have a list of these, and they'll be available both on site and on Slack throughout the weekend. More on Slack shortly. Now I just want to run through some of this data and where you can find it and what it's all about. So the data that you'll get to use throughout the competition is available now throughout on all of the government data portals. So in Australia, the main one is data.gov.au. In New Zealand, data.govt.nz. For this, and then we have a wide range of different ones from different state governments, and then we also have ones from councils for this. We want them to be providing this data as a way of showcasing it and seeing how they give back to the community. None of this data is sensitive in nature. It's publicly owned data, and we're showing how it can be shared and combined to create something new and engaging. The data is available online, is licensed in a way that it can be reused, recombined, and reshared, generally with attribution, provided in open formats, machine readable for the most part, so you can use CSVs and code to run through it, and where possible, it's free and freely accessible wherever possible. So some of these data portals are showing on screen, but if you don't want to go and find these all yourself, on the hackerspace, under resources and data portals, we have a list of all the different data portals that we've identified that are available for use. If you find other data portals, you're more than welcome to use them as well. The same with the data sets. We highlight quite a large number of data sets that are relevant to the challenges, but if you have other data sets that you're coming to and go, this would be interesting to include into my project, go ahead. All these are great to use. So that's a lot about the data, and you can dive into and have a look at that now. But what happens if I want to get involved and start competing? Matt, can you run us through Slack?
Yeah. So the primary collaboration tool of GovHack is Slack. So we encourage you to sign up. If you're being involved with GovHack previously, competed previously, you can just return to the Slack channel using the URL there for the returning participants. Or if you're new, you'll actually have to use that separate link, the sign up link. Once you go there, you create a Slack account. There'll be a lot of channels there. So in the general channel, it might get a bit noisy. We've got, I think, almost 6,000 users in that channel at the moment. So we do have some important channels where you can get updates. We've got announcements. But back to your point about forming a team and getting started now with team forming, you can go across to the Find a Team channel, and you can put a post in there or read through those existing posts. So whether you're an individual looking for a team, or if you're a small team looking for some additional skills or experiences to join your team, you can put a post in there, look through those existing ones. And as we mentioned before, that can be a hybrid team of people participating remotely and in other regions as well. We'll also have some people floating around in those channels to help you find a team. And potentially, if we've got some people at the venue on the Friday night or the Saturday morning looking for a team, we'll help you connect with some of those people online on Slack as well. So do check it out. And then for your regions, whether you're in a digital business participant, like a remote participant in your region, or you're at one of the physical venues, we've got multiple hack-channels. So hack-New South Wales, I'd join in here if I was participating in New South Wales, and I go along to that channel, and I will be able to get updates around that venue that was happening, or the multiple venues. Important information like the pizza's ready. So I know when to go along to the event, an update. So you can get some of that specific there, but also get some questions about information about where maybe the sponsors or data custodians are. So you can actually go in there and ask some questions at the moment as well. If you've got questions about accessibility, getting there, directions, or what time, need some clarity that's not currently on the hackerspace, you can go in there and ask some questions as well. And then we've got a help mentors channel as well, where you can go and you can ask for help from the mentors, whether it's with data sets, someone from the data owners. You can go in there and get some assistance, whether it's help submitting your project. We'll point you in the right direction and help you there. There's a few other channels that we've listed. If you go across to our directory channel, you can see some of them, and we'll keep posting them and pin them to the channels, where there'll be ones where you can go and ask a question directly some of these sponsors as well that are sponsoring the challenges. Maybe you have a question about the challenge. So that's how you use the tool. Encourage you to go in there, get started, have a look around, connect it up to your hackerspace is the next step as well. So when you create a profile on your hackerspace, which we will talk through, there is a connection step. And I do encourage you to connect that because that will become helpful over the weekend, and people can reach out to you when you've said you've had interest in submitting a project. They'll be with a click of a button be able to create a chat with your team and have a chat with your team about the project that you're working on. So they'll be reaching out to you actively as well.
Yeah. So you're mentioning team formation, and that's my next slide. So I'm going to throw you back into team formation for this, how they can get started, and what makes up a good team.
Yeah, it's definitely about the diverse skills. Having 10 coders together that all work on the same language, maybe somewhere in the same stack, maybe the little back-end coders, that's awesome. And I imagine you can build some really cool things. But you're going to have a crappy UI, and you're not going to have a very good video that you're going to present at the end of it all and be able to pitch it. So you definitely do need to have a diverse set of skills and experiences. So to actually talk through the specifics, you should have someone that's actually doing the work and creating. So whether that's development with code or a low code, or using a tool to create the proof of concept that you are doing to demonstrate. Then you could have someone else that's creating the video. You could have someone that's creating scripts. You could have someone that's creating the story, the data story that's going to be published on the hackerspace. And of course, you're going to have someone leading the team and helping with that design thinking and talking about what you are trying to solve through the whole process. You might have some people with multiple skill sets that can kind of cross over and help between, but you don't want to be getting to the situation where you've got a really cool app and you've left it to midday on the Sunday afternoon and you haven't started work on the video yet. People don't want to get a boring video. That 3 minutes is a long time to keep them engaged. You need something fun, exciting, telling the story and showing what you've done for the awesome app that you've been developing. Did I miss anything else on team formation or skill sets, I wonder?
I think that was it. So if you were participating, Hashida, what sort of skills would you be bringing to the team? So, so we're going to have badges. What would you write as your skills on the badge?
If I take part in the hackathon this time, I want to be a coder, a hacker, which means that I grew up in India, which means my teenage starts with coding. And for me, I've grown up in my career and I don't get enough opportunity to code nowadays. So if I am in the hackathon this time, I'm going to be a hacker and want to do the coding part of it. But saying that, I'm going to be a smart hacker this time. We've got ChatGPT. We've got enough AI out there. We just ask the question and we get the code. We need to be smart enough to change the variable that suits our project. Sometimes I've seen that in our essay event yesterday or last night, people were saying that, oh, it's such a short period of time and we need to put a solution out that it is something that can be scalable. Is it possible? For me, I feel like taking part in these competition makes us smart as well. So we might not come with the actual skills. The moment when we see other people being that smart people and finding the information in the relevant websites, I think that's something that we pick up as well. So we don't need to come with a skill, but we need to come with a mindset to learn a skill quickly. So that's what I would say. To answer your question, I want to be a hacker and coder this time. I want to use all the websites available and come up with the most efficient short-lined codes. Thank you.
For me, I would probably go through with the designer role. While my background originally was coding and programming, I more moved into the designer space. So I'd probably be looking at producing the part of the 3-minute video, working on the visual design, and going out and speaking to users that might be doing the thing. So I can actually get some bit of user feedback to feed to the developers so that they can adjust to make the project suit. What about you, Brad? Where do you sit on the designer, coder, facilitator, data person?
So coming in from past experience and where I would sit is definitely in that facilitator / team leader role, keeping the team on track, making sure that we're not going to get to that last day and start building that video 5 minutes before. That's definitely from past experience of seeing other teams do that. I like to keep the boys on track and the whole squad with the boys and girls and the rest of the team. That would be where I'd sit.
Yeah. And Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go from a different angle. Like I code for fun. My day job isn't to code. I do it at night. I build cool things. But one thing you can do with these hackathons, and do talk to your team about this, is you can learn new things. It's a great opportunity to push yourself and try something that you're not good at the moment. So I'd choose something like design thinking. I'd love to be able to go through the methodology with a real project. And what better way than a hackathon, working on something out of passion with a bunch of people on the team. So have a chat to your team and say, this is not just a skill set I have and I can bring, but this is a skill set or tool, a language, or something that I want to play with and learn further, whether it be something like the GPT or a skill set like leading a team, and say, I want to get some experience actually leading a team of people in a project that I'm passionate about and enjoy working, because it's some great experience. So I encourage you to try new things. Whenever I participate in hackathons in the past, I always spend a good chunk of the first amount of time as learning something new. I've got this idea and go, all right, I think this new tool I'd heard about, this would be great. I'm going to go do some research. I'm going to learn something new. So I lose a bit of time on it, but I walk away from the weekend with a new skill and some real hands-on experience.
Yeah. Around GovHack is a great way to try and build new skills. It is 46 hours. It's time where you can test to see what you think of it and see if it's worth pursuing further. It's or you can throw it away at the end. But it's a point of you shouldn't feel locked in to just do things that you know. Push yourself, expand in that field. So, how does a competition event weekend run? So we start on Friday. Our physical venues will open at about 5-6 o'clock, depending on the specific venue. You can check all the opening times on the hackerspace for the specific venue. And I'm going to note down on these slides, I have AEST because that's where I was creating my slides. They are local relevant times. So it's the same time, but local for this. The only fixed time that's on this slide is the GovHack Trivia Night. That one is fixed at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on the Saturday, where we all come together across Australia and New Zealand to answer some trivia questions, to take a little bit of a break away from the competition to relax, recharge, so that when you go back to building your prototype, you'll have your brain will have been able to process in the background some different ideas, and you can come to it refreshed. The challenges will launch on the Saturday night at 7 p.m. So this is when we'll have a video that goes gets played across everywhere, and the event host will talk you through the different challenges. You can start working on it then. So I would recommend going through, reading multiple different challenges to see where your interests lie and where you could potentially take on 2 different challenges or 3 different challenges that are all aligned but slightly different to see, could your prototype respond to multiple of these. Saturday we have we start again at about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, depending on the venue again, because we will have kicked everyone out Friday night. We don't have people sleeping in venues anymore. We want you to go home, relax, and sleep. Come back refreshed. Matt, how does Saturday work? What should I be doing if I'm a competitor?
Yeah, so Saturday, imagine you've got your ideas. It's really the Saturday morning where you should be locking it in. You've got a few ideas, you've got a few paths that you could be taking here. You want to choose that primary one, fix it to one of those primary challenges, what it is that you're trying to achieve. The best thing about Saturday morning is being able to engage with those challenge owners. So the people who've created the challenges, those sponsors that have been putting it forward, with the data custodians, the people who are responsible for the data sets that you might be using, and having a chat to them and talking to them about your challenge and talk to them about your ideas and working with them. So we will have these mentor morning teas, and you can be reaching out to the mentors through Slack as well, because this is the time that you should be bouncing your ideas off them. Feel free to share. Don't worry about people stealing your ideas at a hackathon. We're all there to do great things. We're not there to steal other people's ideas and copy their projects. So if you collaborate with the mentors, explain what you're doing, you're actually going to get some really helpful feedback. They're going to be going, that's awesome. Not only you're solving the challenge that we've put forward, but our department's got a secondary problem that you're also addressing here. So why didn't you do this as well, and address this other part of a problem? Because you're giving us two solutions in one. So I think it's definitely a time where you should be working with a team. There's potentially some splitting as well, whether maybe you've got two ideas, you want to have two different projects that you're submitting into it, and maybe a mix up of the teams as well. Some of that stuff will happen then, but I wouldn't be going past midday on Saturday with that. It's the time when you should really be locking your challenge in, that you go, this is what we're going to be building, this is what we're going to be working on. And by which stage you probably already have some people drafting up some ideas and installing the tools and writing some of those first lines of code, etc. And then Saturday afternoon, obviously, we'll begin full speed ahead, people working on it. You could even have people working on the video that early and actually putting some of the storyline together. And then we're going to stop. We're all going to have a break. So venues will be closing at varied times throughout Saturday. Depending on the venue you might be able to do the trivia there. Otherwise, some other ones you might head home and then open up and launch the Zoom trivia. It's really a chance to switch off, and taking these breaks is important for you. It helps with the idea process and everything as well. You'll come back more creative, everything. Stop, have some fun, get your team to join, form a team, and participate in the trivia and have some fun. We've had a lot of really positive feedback about that trivia night and people being involved with it. It's something that we brought along during the virtual events during COVID, and it stuck because people loved it. People asked for it. They asked for the trivia and they asked for the pizza.
So then we move into Sunday. So Hashira, what was your experience on the Sunday? Were you madly rushing to the end, or were you gone, I've got my plan, I know how to get through this? Both are good, but how'd you go? And what would you recommend?
Jason, I wish I could go with the second one, where I got everything planned with my team, and we're already working on the videos, almost done. No. Throughout my experience as a participant, it has been a chaos. I'm the winner of one of the winners of the GovHack previously, so I'm going to share some of that experience as well. The actual competition weekend starts in the connection events as well. So I would highly recommend participants to make sure to start building the team during the connection event as well. That's the preparation starts, not actually on the weekend, before that itself. And also talking about, we spoke about the themes that will be around those particular themes, like governance, ESG, sustainability, climate change, those aspects. So what are some of the themes? So it's good to catch up as a team and discuss those ones as well, where our interest lies. And also the data sets are out there available. Can we study those data sets in advance? So I would say those are all the aspects that we can do before the start of the weekend itself. So we are almost 70% ready if we have done all our groundwork. For me, coming back to Sunday, how exactly someone will feel on Sunday, it will be a chaos. And also for me, I feel like there is no success established recipe that we need to follow doing this one on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, according to me. I always encourage people, depending upon your team structure, how the skills are, make the best advantage of those aspects and work your own timelines. Adding on, make sure that we got a team member like Brad, who is a facilitator, and keep reminding us about the timelines. So the Sunday will not be a chaos. So to summarize, I would say that on Sunday by afternoon, we need to have something, the video ready. That might be a PPT that we are talking through it, and also the video also. I want the participants to explore from now on itself, like how we want to present it. Should we need to record someone? Like nowadays, the technology, we don't need big technologies. They can record over the phone. Brilliant cameras are there, high quality cameras. So I would say by Sunday morning, they should have the presentation ready, and also making sure that they've got access to the relevant Slack channels. They can ask questions to people like where to upload, where, how much is summary of the project is. So that's what I would say. To answer your question, when I was a participant, Sundays were always chaos, how much ever you plan. So I would say if I'm going to take part this year, I would have made friends in the connection events or find a team member, speak to them already, and find your own recipe for success to get through the weekend. Thanks, Jason.
Awesome. So yeah, make sure you keep track of the time so you don't run out of it. The Hackspace hard locks at the end of the competition, so you make sure you get in. If you're experiencing technical troubles, let us know in advance so that we aren't so we're aware. So you don't come to us an hour after the competition closed. My project didn't work. Let us know before so that we're aware of that. So if things do go wrong, we can take that into consideration for it. So we're going to be heading into the question and answers very shortly. So if you have any questions you want to ask us, drop it into the YouTube chat and we'll get to them shortly. So there is some great medallions that you can win. So we have, we take a couple of weeks, about a month or two, to go through all the judging. There's so many entries, and judges will be going through these. Then we'll have our award ceremonies, and if you come along to our International Red Carpet Awards, which is an invite event, you have a chance to win these lovely medallions. I have 2 videos that I want to show you from last year. They give you an idea of what projects that were last year. So I'm going to play those, drop any questions you have in the chat, and we'll answer those very shortly.
Hi, my name is Bryce Cronin, and this is the app I made for GovHack 2022. It's an interactive data visualizer tool that allows people to experiment with adjusting the energy mix in Australian cities of varying density. It does this by allowing you to utilize custom percentages of unused rooftop space and available green space for solar and wind power. It's designed as an educational tool to demonstrate the challenges involved in achieving net zero by 2050 and to educate people about Australia's current and future energy mix, as well as the urban planning considerations for this. When you adjust the controls, the estimates below are automatically calculated. These calculations are based on your inputs, the available rooftop and green space area of the selected city, as well as national household averages. Estimates include the cost of technology, how much power would be generated per year, and how much it will reduce our fossil fuel dependency. As an example, if we replace this section of Canberra's green space with wind turbines and solar panels, it can easily produce more power than it uses and be rated as on track for net zero by 2050. But utilizing the same inputs in a different city may not have the same effect. Obviously, I'm not saying we should bulldoze 100% of our city's green spaces for solar power, it's just to demonstrate what would happen if we did, as well as to visualize the amount of space required for these various renewable energy options. A more realistic example would be if we could add solar sculptures to a small fraction of our public areas. This tool can help us estimate how much power we could generate and the costs involved with that. In the future, this solution can be expanded to have more granular data to generate better estimates, a scrollable map as opposed to the 3 examples I've shown here, and greater control of the energy mix to allow for more sources. If you head over to my project page right now and click the big button at the top, you can play around with the tool inside your browser. I used open data available from the Australian Clean Energy Regulator for calculating some statistics, and map data available from OpenStreetMaps and Esri. Thanks.
In Aotearoa, our power is not always from renewable sources. Coal is used when there's high demand. Every bit of electricity you use at these peak times means more coal is being burnt. But what if you could tell when coal is being used for power? Would you still charge your car? Would you still put your clothes in your dryer, knowing that you are burning coal to do that? Meet dirty watts. Using dirty watts, you can know if you're consuming green or non-green energy, just by looking at the colour of the lamp. It's easy to see what type of energy you're using. This simple piece of tech can also be used to automatically turn off your devices, depending on what kind of power is currently being produced. Don't worry, you're completely in control of this. Let me show you. This is our simplest form of interface. It's light. Right now, it's green, which means most of New Zealand's electricity is coming from renewable sources. But when we start burning more gas to keep up with demand, it turns into this greenish, yellowish mixture. However, when we start burning coal or oil to keep up with said demand, then it turns into this orange and red. That's when you know to save power. However, it shouldn't be all on you to save power. You can also use a smart socket to turn off all your devices that don't have to be on all the time without your manual intervention. Not on the timer, but directly linked to real-time data coming from the grids. But once we move past these simpler triggers and warnings, we get into our dirty watts dashboard. Here, we can immediately see that we're using 93% clean energy. Go us! We can also dig deeper into the power plant types, how much they are generating, as well as their available capacity. We can also see how the energy types change as the demand changes, just like how they turned gas off last night. On a more regional scale, we also have the map, which shows all the network connection points and how much energy they are drawing and putting back into the grid. Again, here we can see the history of these individual points. This is powered by our new public API, which makes live and historical data very easily accessible. We also have our wiki with guides on how to build your own light monitoring system. Importantly, this project is not just about building a cool dashboard and indicators for ourselves, but it's not really going to change the world. What we can have is a real impact by providing the tutorial we have put together to students in schools to build their own dirty watts indicators. By doing this project, they'll be learning to use digital technology and putting it to work to help improve our environment.
Okay, so there were some great projects that we've seen developed last year from across Australia and New Zealand. And it's great to see all the effort that the teams went into. Those two videos had quite a bit of polish. Yours don't necessarily need to be as polished as that, as long as you can communicate your idea and demonstrate the prototype that you have created. You can see what type of things. Always have a look. You can go back, have a look at any of the previous versions of the hackerspace. So if you throw 2018 dot through to 2022 dot in front of hackerspace.govhack.org, you'll be able to go and see those previous different projects. So we have some questions in chat. So Matt, do you want to take the first one?
Yeah, so I believe when you're registering on Slack, someone's pointed out that it does ask for a work email address. The tool is used by enterprises, etc., but that's okay. You can use your Gmail or any address. You will need to verify it, so it will need to be a real email address, but you can use any email address. So despite the word having work there, that's okay. You can use one.
Yep. Hashida, you were asking a similar question earlier about the local and the virtual. Do you want to refresh us on that?
Sure, Jason. I think the question is, can the local team be virtual or need to be on site at one of the locations? I would say no need of it. If you're a local team also, they all can work from their homes if that's the best thing, but make sure that they are located in Australia. So that's what Australia or New Zealand, that's what the requirement is. Straight answer is all of them can be virtual, no need to be on the site, but you need to be within the Australia and New Zealand border.
And I might want. I was going to add to it. You're probably going to say the same thing as if you're in a capital city, you've somewhere where there's an event in. There is an advantage of going along to the launch in particular on the Friday night, The biggest one is that before the announcement of the competitions at 7 p.m. when they're available to everyone, you're going to hear from those sponsors and you're going to hear about some of the challenges. So that is one of the benefits. There are some secondary ones, like you're going to get the pizza and the networking and the connections and the ability to talk to some of those sponsors direct. So if you are in one of those locations, do try and make it along to the Friday night. But as I should have said, you don't have to be there. It's not a requirement to be on site at any point in time.
Jason, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Are we live streaming the Friday opening events for each state, or how we're going to manage that one?
So if you attend one of the venues, it'll be the presentations will take place there. For any people that are off-site, you'll be sent an email at 7 p.m. local time that will have a link to a YouTube recording of what is going on at the venue. So you'll find out about how the competition works and the different challenges. It won't be a live stream, but it'll have pre-prepared information that will be going out to you. And then if you're remote, we strongly encourage you to jump onto Slack and start communicating with the teams that are local so that you can get those important updates that are going on.
But Jason, I'm definitely going to turn up to the site because
Yep.
I love free pizzas. I'm not going to
Yep.
miss out. I'll be there for sure.
Yep. So we had a question around, can someone review my project before the deadline on Sunday and give feedback? Yes. If you ask pretty much any of the mentors, any of the volunteers, and even the other participants, they will be able to give you feedback for this. And we strongly encourage that. If you, would strongly encourage you to give feedback to other teams, even before that project review session at the end. One of the things that is a challenge each and every year that we have GovHack is the spirit of GovHack. Do you go above and beyond what it is to just be a participant? Do you help others? Can you teach someone something else? Do you include people in your group? Can you show the spirit of GovHack, going above and beyond being just a regular participant? That is what we would like to see. One way you can do that is giving feedback to other teams about their project. Make sure it's constructive. Don't just go, you have a terrible idea. That's not helpful. Talk through the idea and give constructive feedback for that. Matt, anything you would add for that one?
No, sorry, I think you got it well. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we have a little bit more time. So this one was looking at what's the latest that a team member can be registered. So we accept people registering on the Hackerspace right up until the Sunday afternoon. So you don't need to, if you come along, you can walk up and join. But if you only rock up on the Sunday afternoon and you haven't done anything else, it's probably a little bit hard. But if you've have been building a project on Saturday and you need to hey, this would work well as two different projects and they're going to be sufficiently different, you can register a second team for that project. And that's more than welcome. So does anyone have any last comments that we want to add on and well wishes before we play the going out video and thank people for coming? I'll start with Brad.
Just as like a final piece, going back to that sharing and constructive feedback between participants, it's from my experience when I won one of the challenges with GovHack, what a huge help was by being able to share the idea openly, because not only do you get feedback, but sometimes even explaining it, you'll figure out the problems yourself and you'll find that no one's likely to steal your ideas. It's an open challenge, and working together can often both benefit for yourselves and for the other team, that you'll both come out better off.
And last comments for you, Hashira.
Sure, Jason. I'm carrying the same theme of the feedback. I would say that I'm a Toastmaster and we give feedback in the form of sandwich method. We always call it as a PIP method. So tell them what is good, praise them first, and give that where is the improvement point is, where you feel that there is a lack that they can improve on, where's the gap, and then close with another praise. So having the perfect sandwich method helps you guys to give the feedback to each other. And the whole purpose of GovHack is to learn, is to upskill ourselves. So sharing those ideas, giving each other feedback, that makes the experience rich of that particular weekend. So go ahead and do that. Last but not the least, I want to say thank you for all our volunteers who have worked so hard to put this event together. And also thank our sponsors for all the venues, all the free pizzas, all the data sets that is easy to consume that they've given. Finally, I want to say all the best for the participants. Make sure that you make the most of this weekend, learn something new, make new friends. Hopefully some of them might walk away with some of the best friends or lifelong friends as well. So make sure this particular 2023 hackathon is something that is memorable for them. Thank you so much, Jason.
Yeah. Matt's having a little bit of difficulties with audio, so he sends well wishes and hopes that to see everyone there. And for me, I would encourage everyone to come along, try something new, go out there and read all the challenges first. You might see something interesting in the first one you look at. Put that to the side. Go, I want to remember this one, but go and have a read of all of them so that you can see how you can mix and match, and you might come up with, oh, this one's even better than the first one I looked at. So take that time to do it. We'll also then come around on the Saturday once people start registering and putting in their challenges to go. If any challenges have a lower number of people teams entering it, we'll do a shout out to go, hey, if anyone wants to do this, not many people are in this area yet. If anyone has any ideas, jump on this one if you can. So, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Harshita, Matt, and Brad for joining this evening to run through what is GovHack and how participants can get the best out of it. I'm going to play the outro video, and so thank you very much, everyone. We look forward to seeing you next weekend.